Hello and welcome to episode 3 of my self-empowerment series, where I talk about the steps that you can take to really take control and responsibility for your life so that you can actually create the reality that you want. So I already talked about self-worth in episode 2 and self-concept in episode 1, and now I want to talk about self-forgiveness, because self-forgiveness is one of those really crucial steps that you have to take in order to be able to really be in control of your life and not let other people or other situations or just external factors run your life. It is also one of those topics that comes kind of difficult to people, I think, because it does require a level of digging and courage and emotional work and acceptance, and that could be quite difficult for some people. But you have to understand that it is, like I said, one of those super crucial steps to be able to really take responsibility. And honestly, forgiveness is freedom. There's nothing more freeing than being able to just accept things for what they are and be able to let them go and move forward. So what does forgiveness mean? Forgiveness means whether you're forgiving yourself or someone else, it's accepting the actions and behaviors that have occurred and becoming willing to move forward. So it's really not about, doing the right thing because, they tell you have to be the bigger person, taking the high road, whatever it is. And it's not even being okay with something that someone has done to you. There are actions that people do that are just not acceptable, right? I'm not condoning anything bad that someone did to you, but it's letting go of the feelings and the emotions that are associated with that event or that person or with what went wrong or what you thought should have been different, so that you can move forward and let it go, so that you can let those emotions associated with that event or person go. I'm talking about you and the feelings that you're holding on to and the emotions that are running your life that you can accept and release for your own personal benefit. So someone once told me a quote, and it's reportedly by Buddha, but it's being angry is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And non-forgiveness is the same thing, right? Like being angry at someone or, holding a grudge at something someone did is only hurting us because of the emotions that are associated with it. We harbor those feelings in our bodies, not in theirs, and they are not affected by the way we feel about them, but we are. And that is why forgiveness is super important and is truly an act of self-love and self-worth. The first thing you have to do is accept, which I know is very difficult, but it doesn't have to look like they did this to me and that's okay. No, not at all. It doesn't have to be that way at all. But it's accepting that this thing happened to you, Just accepting that you have this memory, you went through this thing, this happened to you at some point, and that's it. It happened to you. We often tend to blame external circumstances or be in victim mentality and say, this happened because of that, or this happened because of that. But if we can just accept that this happened, full stop, this happened to me, full stop, then you are one step closer to being open to release that. You have to reach at least a willingness to change, at least a willingness to accept that something has happened to you so that you can move past it and move forward and move on. Again, I'm not saying that something that someone did to you is okay at all, but this is about you, and this is about you being able to release the emotions that you feel around that situation. And I just don't want anyone to spoil the rest of their life because they're holding on to a grudge because someone once did something to them. The past is done, it's memory, it doesn't exist anymore. You cannot change it. But you can change your future. You have control over how you're going to live the rest of your life. You have control about what path you're going to take forward. And if it's going to be the path you want, you might as well take the reins right now and accept the things that have happened so that you can create a different story. You don't have to tell yourself the same story that you told based on that meaning that you created from that thing that happened to you. And I also want to make you realize that just because someone did something to you doesn't say anything about you as a person. I think oftentimes we create a story based on what someone did to us. So let's say, for example, for me, I kind of had like an abandonment wound growing up because my dad would travel often. He would always be away for like extended periods of time for work and things like that. But in my child brain, I was like, oh, he's abandoning me. He's leaving me. And because I felt abandoned, I created the meaning about that situation that for some reason I did something wrong, that I'm not good enough. he abandoned me and he left because I'm not good enough, right? And in my childhood brain, I never realized that it was never about me. He could have traveled for work, he could have traveled for whatever reason, but it was never for a reason to abandon me on purpose, right? But that's how it works. Our brain creates stories about what happens to us, what happens in our life, so that it can fill the gaps of the unknown. It tells a story so that it can make something understandable or something clear to us, and also keep us safe. So that story then was an attempt to keep myself safe so that I will never get hurt again in the same way, because I already expected, right? But that's wrong. You can't live from the expectation that something bad is going to happen to you because this one thing happened to you. You can't create a story about yourself based on what other people did to you. They did to you based on who they are as a person. But you are a different person, and you can choose the meaning that you give to situations. And that is why you have to accept that whatever this thing is, it happened to you, and realize that you might be telling yourself a story that is preventing you from accepting the fact that this thing happened, and you can choose a different story now. The second thing is that if you have trouble accepting, you can realize that this one thing might be blocking you. And that's the idea that you owe something to someone, or they owe something to you. A lot of the time we feel like we owe people certain things. Whatever you do to other people is your choice, and it reflects who you are. Just like when other people do something to you, it reflects who they are or how they feel inside. They don't owe anything to you. No one owes you kindness, right? If you can make choices in your life, and you're free to do so with your free will, then other people are also free to do things, whatever they choose. And yes, sure, it could be bad things. I'm not saying that's right, but I'm not saying it's wrong either. I'm not saying that people should be doing bad things to each other, but accept that they did that thing and it was their choice to do that thing to you. Realize that you're only blocking your own power by saying that they owed me something different. You're putting yourself in the victim mentality because you're saying, I couldn't handle that. Or if only they were nice to me, I could have been different. I could have turned out different. My life could have turned out differently. No, you're giving your power away to what they did to you, because if you really wanted your life to be different, you can do it. You have the power, not them. They don't control your life. And so realize that no one owes you anything, but you also don't owe anyone anything. We all make our own choices. And I'm not saying something is right or wrong, but I'm saying we all have the free will and the capacity and the power and the right. We're given the right to make choices that we want to make, and no one can say anything about that. And just like no one can say anything about the choices that you make about your own life, you can't say that to other people. So it goes both ways. Let people do what they do, and realize that you have the right to make the choice now to forgive yourself and forgive them for what they did. And again, not saying that what they did was okay, but you have the right now to release those emotions that are holding you back and ruining your peace internally. I just want to end by giving a few tips on how you can actually use practices to help you with forgiveness. And the first thing is Ho'oponopono. I think I'm saying it right, but it's basically this Hawaiian technique of meditation where it uses the process of acceptance and forgiveness in order to heal. And the Hawaiian word Ho'oponopono translates into English as correction. We're basically correcting the way we feel about the situation so that we can heal it. There's a story about the doctor who used this method to actually heal a whole ward of psychiatric patients. And when he first came to that ward, they were all doing pretty poorly. Most of them were in self-isolation because they were, acting out, and a lot of them were very mentally sick. All that doctor did was he asked the hospital to review the files of these patients. And what he did was he looked at each file, sat with it, and did this meditation technique over and over again. And he worked on himself, and he never saw the patients. And after 4 years of this repetitive work, they were healed. And the way this works is basically through self-love. It's the energetic release of all the unaccepted emotions and that stagnation that is in our energetic fields. And once that is released, you can actually let your body do its natural healing process and actually move forward. So the only thing that's holding you back from not forgiving someone or something that happened to you is that energetic pressure that you create, that emotion that is stuck in you and that doesn't let you move forward. So the key here is to release that emotion, to process that emotion so that it can actually let you move on with your life and live life from a clearer place and not from that emotional perspective. You can search for this Ho'oponopono method on YouTube and like follow a guided meditation, but essentially all it is, which is what I do on my own, is repeating 4 statements or 4 phrases to yourself over and over again while visualizing your the situation or the person that you want to forgive, or even yourself. And the 4 phrases are: thank you, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry. And all you do is you repeat these 4 phrases over and over again, visualizing or thinking about the situation that happened. And it might not feel like you're doing much, but trust that the energetic shift is happening, and you can do this anytime, anywhere. I think it's most effective when you actually do it in silence. If you can, in the evening, just set a timer for 5, 10, 20 minutes. Sit with the emotions that you're feeling about that situation. Visualize that situation. And if you want, even visualize a resolution in that situation that you felt like you needed at that time, and repeat these phrases over and over again. And it doesn't have to look perfect. Sometimes you might stutter, sometimes you might forget a word, but the intention is there, and that's going to help you start to energetically shift and process those emotions. And the second technique I have for you is called EFT tapping, which is emotional freedom technique. And again, I recommend that you search this up because I'm not a professional. I once searched a YouTube video and then I just follow that. But it basically is a similar technique where you repeat statements such as, even though this happened to me, let's say like, even though someone stole my wallet in Switzerland, which actually happened to me, I still completely and deeply love and accept myself. It's again focusing on the acceptance of the situation and realizing that you are okay now, you are safe now. And the reason it's called EFT tapping is because as you say these statements, you tap on certain parts of your body. So for example, you start tapping here and then you say, even though I feel fear because someone stole my wallet once, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then you move on to other places in your body that you're tapping. And again, I recommend that you just Google this because there's a lot of information about it out there, but I just wanted to put this technique out here for you because it's super easy. It can take like 2 minutes for one round, and then you can repeat those rounds, and I usually do like 2 to 3 rounds about one thing. And this really helped me specifically shift a lot of my money beliefs, but it can also help with forgiveness. So yeah, I hope that helps you. And with any technique, I also think that the intention is super important. So just the fact that you're sitting down and you're telling yourself, okay, I'm ready to start to process this thing, that is a huge step forward in forgiveness and being able to clear that energy from you so that it no longer keeps you stuck. Holding a grudge against someone or even yourself is like one of the biggest things that hold us back from having our power, because basically we're saying that we're not capable, or we're in victim mode, or we're waiting for someone to save us, and that is just giving our power away. So I hope this video really helps you, and I hope that it can be a step in your journey of forgiveness and of healing and of self-empowerment. And make sure to subscribe to this channel if you like my content, and give this video a like again if you like this video or this topic, and comment down below if you have anything about forgiveness that you have already done that helped you a lot, or anything else that you might want to see in the future in my videos.